today, I'm going to talk about the Azerath Nations. The Azerath Nations are a confederacy of nations under the Azerath Treaty. Each kingdom in the confederacy is pretty much independent. They have their own governments, laws, military, etc. All of the kingdoms in the Azerath Nations are absolute monarchies, so I won't go into detail about their government in this video. However, the confederacy has its own government, and how it is run is very unique, and what I'm going to talk about in this video. The Azerath Nations government, called the Dynasty, is made up of the kings of each member nation. The Dynasty has the power to enforce dynastic laws, which are laws that all member nations must follow, no matter what their individual laws are. The Dynasty also has the power to call a combined Azerath army, although participation in this combined army is voluntary and not mandatory. All kings are equal, except one. This king is the dynasty leader, and his nation is known as the Dynasty Nation. The dynasty leader controls the dynasty, and is seen as sort of a figurehead of all the Azerath nations. This position is extremely prestigious, for not only the king, but also his nation. The dynasty leader's job is quite low frills for how prestigious the position is. The main job of the dynasty leader is to make sure everything goes without a hitch during dynastic meetings. They also do not have a vote when it comes to legislation, unless there is a tie, in which they act as the tiebreaker. Lastly, they are the final authority on ratifying bills into law, and have veto power. How a king obtains the position of dynasty leader is quite unique. There are a few ways a king can obtain the dynasty leader position. One way is for it to be given to them by the current dynasty leader. This has been seen a couple times, although always by force. The third dynasty began when King Bernadix of Vascova kidnapped the dynasty leader, King Lul, and forced him to sign the dynasty over. Another example is when King Ditharmades captured the fourth dynasty leader, imprisoned him, and tortured him until he gave the dynasty over. Another way a king can obtain the dynasty position is by selling it. This only occurred once when the dynasty leader, King Oharlam, of Vascova sold the dynasty to King Dermes XI for 20,000 gold blocks. The last method a king can use to obtain the dynasty is by assassination. This is how the first and fifth dynasty ended. As alluded to in my examples, when a dynasty leader is crowned, a new era begins, and the Azerath dates reset back to 0. The dynasty is responsible for creating and enforcing laws that all nations under the Azerath Treaty must follow. So how are laws created in the dynasty? Every month, every king from every nation will meet at the Palace of Kings to forward bills. Any king is allowed to forward a bill, even the dynasty leader, but the bill must pass a vote before it can become law. A king will put forward a bill. After the king is done introducing the bill, the other kings must debate over the bill until they know which way they will vote. The vote works on a yay or nay system, and all kings must vote except for the dynasty leader. If the bill is voted down, then the bill is simply thrown out. If the bill is passed, it will be passed to the dynasty leader to ratify. If the dynasty leader vetoes the bill will go back to the kings for debate once again. This time, if the bill is passed again, the dynasty leader must ratify. If there is a tie, the final vote goes to the dynasty leader. Once a bill in the dynasty becomes law, it must be enforced in all member nations. These universal laws are enforced both by the national and dynastic police forces, although the dynastic police force is only ever called during times of crisis or if a nation refuses to follow a dynasty law. The dynasty has been essential to its member nations since its inception, and I will create a video in the future explaining the history of the treaty. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.